All right. Good. Okay. And okay, we should be live. Let me just double check and make sure. Um, Looks good. Okay, I'll do that in a different way. All right. I believe we are good to go. We should be live. Let me pull this all to the side. So, okay, share my screen. Share. Okay, and then, all right, why is it not minimizing like it used to be before? So you can all see my screen? All right, perfect. Okay, I'm gonna have to move that down there. All right, so we are good to go, Eric. We are live online. We are presenting, so and we're recording, so you can go ahead and start us off. Oh, you're not seeing my screen. Is everybody else seeing my screen? Yes. Okay. So, Eric, I don't know why you're not seeing my screen. Matt, you see my screen? Okay. Well, the agenda should be up. Um, there should be one of the screens that says sharing screen, or it says sharing screen on mine. Active cameras. So if you look at the top, um, you've arrived again. Is there is there one of our boxes that shows my screen? Let me stop. Let me try it again. I'm going to stop sharing. I'm going to share my screen again. Share. Let's see. Hold on. Well, everything on my end looks like you should be able to see it too. 1 second. Let me try. Stay on the line, Eric. I'm going to try. Oh, now it's not sharing my screen, so let's try it again. Share. And yeah, it says I'm sharing. Let me try something, Eric. I'm going to make you presenter and see if you can share your screen. Across the bottom, you should have mic, camera, and then the next screen is share. Okay, well, that might be what the issue is. Not a problem. Okay. Well, how about we do that? Why don't you make me presenter again, Eric? I can do that. All right. I am going to share my screen. And now you see it? All right, there we go. Okay, so moving on. Mm-hmm. Okay. John put his hand up, so go ahead, John. Not that I see. That is correct. It's coming. Hold on. Yes, I can. Here it is. So, moving through these really quickly, the changes we had. We did a payroll today, so we have some payroll tax liability. We have some deferred comp that we paid out. We have some Washington State Department of Retirement that we paid into. We have an invoice for January's fuel from the school district that we've paid. Some janitorial supplies. And then payroll for the 15th, which was yesterday. So up to the 15th of February is paid. Everything else is as it was on Friday last week. Any questions on the vouchers? And I'll remind commissioners to please respond to the email that Carrie sent out to approve the vouchers when you get logged off of the meeting. Just a reminder on that. We do that now electronically right now until we get back to meeting in person. Okay. Staff report is next. Oh, now it's not coming up. Let's see here. Well, that's not fun. One moment, please. Okay, let's try that again. I love technology, don't you? Okay. And I'm sharing my screen. Okay. Okay. All right, moving along. Oh wait, I've got to change to that mode. That's why it's doing that. Center mode. There we go. Not that. There we go. So staff report. Can everyone see my screen again? Okay. So moving through, you could see that this past month we've had Monday, Wednesday, Friday, indoor pickleball. We had 10 sessions January 14th and through February 9th. We had 23 in attendance. For Saturday futsal, we've had a total of 134 people for 2 sessions, January 29th and February 5th. So that's a big thing. Coming up, we do have Monday, Wednesday, Friday indoor drop-in pickleball. We've got Saturday futsal. Basketball skills and open gyms have started up. Canine Nosework Sundays and Tuesdays. We will be closing the office next Monday. That's a national holiday, President's Day. We're going to be closed that day. Botanical Jewelry, Puppy Foundation Skills, and Canine Life Skills, Reactive Dog Clinic, Intro to Pickleball, and then July 23rd, mark your calendars, is the Whidbey Island Triathlon. We're currently in the process of getting classes set up for the Spring-Summer Activity Guide, working with Goosefoot to offer concerts in the park, alternating with their baby dances on Wednesdays this summer. And we're receiving field requests from different sport entities to begin field scheduling for the months ahead. Whidbey Island Triathlon opened to the public for registration on February 2nd. We're beginning the stages of implementing Office 365 in the office. This will allow documents to be backed up and accessible in the cloud, and will provide better control of email and calendars. This will also allow for more access when employees need to work remotely. The other news on this is we will also be switching the email domain from whidbey.com email addresses to swparks.org email addresses, and implementing a plan to communicate with contacts this change and transition. This is to kind of prep as we grow in staff and in size. We're going to need more emails and looking at using a different way of setting this up and having it controlled by the park district a lot more. We did shut down youth basketball, so after consulting with the South Whidbey Community Center and Island County Public Health, we made that decision on January 27th due to the record case rates in Island County. Refunds were issued for 114 players. In lieu of a basketball league, we're offering basketball skill sessions and open gyms from February 14th to March 31st. So those have started up, and I could tell you that we have a total of 39 registered for grades 3 to 6, 27 boys and 12 girls. Parents can only be there for pickup and drop off, and all players are required to wear masks at all times. Facilities and grounds, we have gotten a reprieve in this past month on weather. Everything is beginning to dry out, and we've been able to focus on fertilizer and lime applications and mowing. Continued on working on getting the baseball fields in shape for the upcoming seasons, and have focused on the last remaining dead tree removal and pruning through the park. So we're switching gears and getting ready for aerification of the fields as we can safely do so. Myself, I've been setting up meetings for the committees that will likely be applying for grants this cycle with the RCO and grant process. Amphitheater met on Monday the 7th. Pickleball was scheduled for this week, February 10th, and sports fields for Friday, February 11th. We also have, I believe, swimming pools scheduled for tomorrow afternoon, if I'm not mistaken. I'd have to double check my calendar, but we have aquatics scheduled for either tomorrow. I believe it's tomorrow at 4. It's Friday. Friday. Okay. Friday. Okay. So Friday at 4. That makes more sense. We ran through presentation. So then the last 2 informational sessions on the levy were had, and we had a total of 2 non-staff member commissioner attendees. And we ran through the presentation with them online, answered all their questions. There weren't very many. And then after that, I posted a video with the presentation on our YouTube and Facebook pages that had a total, when I checked at the time I wrote this, last Thursday afternoon, a total of 9 views, and none of those were me, so I can say that. The levy appears to have been successful at this point, and I'll have more on that in the regular agenda. We have been working on securing proposals, additional proposals for the the small water system management plan maintenance contract with help from Jennifer. I located one additional contractor. I was waiting on submittals last week. I do have 2 submittals for this, and we'll go over those in the regular session. We've got the meeting tonight, and then our next board meeting will be March 16th. Any questions on the staff report? The staff are encouraged to attend, but not required. We can have them. We usually all have them attend if they can. Tom may have an issue tonight that he had a conflict. I know Sky has basketball. Carrie, I believe, is on the line. So I believe Carrie's here. So it is an encouragement, not a requirement, and generally they come when they can. So it is not something that I mandate. I will ask them to come if there's a specific item on the agenda that I feel they need to address or answer questions for. But I don't. I have not. It has not been required of them in the past. Mm-hmm. Oh, over 100. It was over 134 players over 2 days. Yeah, it's amazing. Okay, so maybe double that. But even still, if we're getting 50, if we're getting 50 over 2 sessions, that's still a damn good turnout. Especially since we basically, I think, gave them 2 days notice on the first session. So we were able to secure it. We got them in, and they were in there 2 days later. So it's a really good turnout. Yes. Mm-hmm. Any other? Go ahead. So there will be a transition, yes. And what we're going to do is we're going towards a naming convention that uses first name, last initial at swparks.org. So mine would be Doug C at swparks.org. That way, as people change positions, their email history goes with them. When a commissioner comes on, we'll also be able to copy those and connect those to prior commissioners, so we have a record. But each commissioner would have their first name and their last initial at swparks.org. So it would be more towards the individual rather than the position that person is in, so that we don't, those emails follow the person. So for example, if I were to leave and somebody on the staff were to take my position, they would still have their history of what they had done in the past in their email. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I did figure that would go along to the commissioners as well. That makes just for ease of less confusion. Because when I send out an email, in the middle of the day, I'm really not sure who Commissioner 1, Commissioner 2, Commissioner 3, Commissioner 4, and Commissioner 5 is. Whereas I could send an email to Jake G at swparks.org and know exactly who that's going to. So, right. And as we put in, a lot of what we're talking about, campgrounds, swimming pool, it's going to require more and more and more staff. So we're going to need to be a little more specific about what's going on and have a lot more control. So this is something that Sky has great expertise in and was able to get set up for us, and we're really appreciative. And there will be a process on that. Mm-hmm. So you think it was a typo? Okay. So that makes a little more sense. uh, yeah. Well, I trust what they tell me. If they tell me we got 134 futsal, I believe them. So, any other questions on the staff report? That was Sky. That was all Sky. Hmm. Good. Moving on. All right. Comprehensive plan programs. Want me to go ahead here, Eric? All right. So, comprehensive plan programs. Let's make that bigger so I can see it all on one page. All right. So, Amphitheater Committee meeting. Jake, Jennifer, and I met with the Amphitheater Committee folks on February 7th. It was a Monday. We updated the committee on the status of the stimulus grant applications and started discussion about next steps. I have since reached out to 2 construction companies to look at getting accurate budgetary numbers put together for grant applications this spring, and have reached out to PSE to get costs on bringing power to the site. More information will come on this as I receive it. I've talked to 2 different construction companies, as I said earlier, and I've given one of them the plans. I'm going to be meeting with one of them in mid-March when he's got a little more time to kind of look at nailing down some numbers for these and getting a second number on this. Pickleball courts. We did have a pickleball courts grant meeting on Thursday, February 10th at 3. Eric, Matt, Sky, and I were there. We updated everybody on the status of the stimulus grants and started looking at grant applications for the project. We're going to reach out to some providers and get costing numbers to design and build these. We also talked about putting together the grant applications, which the window now is open as of today. I have not had a chance and prep for this to start work on that, but I will be starting work on getting these applications all entered in to the online program and printing them out and then putting them on some sort of share drive that we can all access so that we can have another meeting and start looking at assigning tasks, find out the cost for this, find out the cost for that, plug it in and go from there. Same thing on the sports field committee. We met on February 11th, and again, it was Eric, Matt, Sky, myself, but this time with Tom in attendance as well. We did update everybody on the same things and have the same kind of plan in place. Let's get some costing numbers in place that are current and look at getting these things on there. Great input from the additional community members on both those committees, and I'm looking forward to continuing to work on those. We did schedule a pool committee meeting for this Friday. We'll update you with more on that once we have that. That would be more towards targeting of grants. Also on Friday, I received the final version of the feasibility study that the foundation commissioned. This study is included in your board packet and is on this agenda item up for approval at this meeting. This is really merely to adopt or accept this study as valid and officially accept the results to bring it under Park District auspices for future use and design development of this project. So once we finish this report, I will happily accept the motion to adopt or accept, or we can discuss that study further. Campground. I have reached out to the planning department on the status of our septic system design that was submitted last year and followed up on phone to the person that I've been working with. Unfortunately, as with the county, she is no longer in that department, so she has referred our application to another staff member. I've followed up by phone as well as by email now and by phone again. And I've got an email back, and she said, "Yes, I heard you were doing a septic design. Did you submit that?" I said that should have already been emailed in, so I'm following up on that and continuing with that. I did, with the assistance of Commissioner Cox, as well as I think Jake sent me a couple of companies as well for water system maintenance. I've received to date a proposal from one. I reminded the other two to get their proposals in. I did receive one more. So I have two proposals for us to look at, and that's another agenda item in this meeting. So we can hopefully move forward with approval on a company for us to negotiate, to finalize an agreement with and move forward on with the management of our small water system. Access trail site plan review has been submitted and has been accepted from the county. I did receive a letter on that. I will be checking in on that to find out if we need to apply for any permits, but the initial letter I received back from the county on Monday stated that at this point they have all they need to make their decision. This is a ministerial decision, which means it just has to be reviewed by each of the departments, and a decision from staff will either approve or deny our application to move forward on the trail. On a side note, I did have a meeting scheduled with WTA and state parks. The county did not end up, that was on Friday at 1 p.m. And County Parks was not able to attend, but to follow up on the trail volunteer discussion from last year and develop a plan, I talked to WTA about coming out and having a look at the proposed Trustland Trail. They were out today. I met them out on site, showed them where it was, gave them a map, and left their representative out there to kind of walk around on his own. So hopefully we should hear from them at some point on what their thoughts are. I gave them my number to answer any questions. So that's where we are with that. The only action item for this agenda item would be the acceptance of the feasibility study that was in your board packet. That's a separate, I do have a separate agenda item for the small water system management plan contractors. I did not have one on here. I just received the report, and they asked if I would have it approved, and I said I can probably do that right in our comprehensive plan. Doesn't need to be a separate agenda item. There was already an agenda item for the swimming pool, so it can just be folded into that. Okay, one moment. I'm gonna stop sharing mine. Okay, and go to here and make you presenter. You're good to go, Matt. Yeah. Well, to be clear, there's a range of size that are quote unquote they're not quote unquote that are acceptable sizes for a length and width of soccer field for all of these leagues. What we would do is we would look at and Matt's I think hit the nail right on the head. It's 90 to 120 meters long. So as long as we did not go below 90 meters long, we would be fine. And I think keeping in mind too that we want to make sure that we are doing what our community people want is one thing, but also, if 120 meters is going to overlap that roadway, and we can go 100 meters and it doesn't, it makes a heck of a lot more sense to go 100 meters long rather than rerouting an entire pathway beyond it. So that right. Correct. Well, and there's a lot. It's a lot more than just this is a square, rectangle. This is great information, but it's a lot more than this is the rectangle of this size that fits on this space. There's also the layout of all the other fields like Matt mentioned inside of this. So what does a U12 do when you put a U12 field on this? How does that look? What does a U10 field lining look like? How do we line a football field in there? What about ultimate frisbee? How do we mark that? And then you talk about the little fields, the U10s, the U6s, the U8s. How are we lining those fields in there? Now, generally, for the most part, those fields don't need to potentially be on the artificial turf field for the U6, U8, U10. They don't play in the December, January, February timeframe. So we could potentially have this doesn't mean we're going to have all games be played on this surface and no game's going to happen anywhere else. What this is the year-round field that we're going to use anytime we can. So anytime we can't use the grass. So we could potentially have the U10, U6, U8 all in different places, the U12 in a different place. To answer your question about size, we normally, if we were orienting a field on this field for a full size field, would orient it the way Matt has it shown here. So the outside borders are what is kind of making it overlap the pathway. Okay. So really what we need to do is determine how big we truly need to make this And then we do want some sort of a boundary on it so that we're not, we don't want like, we want like a, as Thomas said, from a maintenance standpoint, we're going to want kind of a cement border around the whole thing so that we don't have, we have a place where we can get, we don't have to have grass clippings be right up against it, that kind of thing. We want to have a cement or asphalt border around the whole thing. So when we're mowing the grass, we're not putting the clippings right on the artificial turf. Okay. So a lot of detail has to go into this still, but this is this is really nice. It's really good to have this info. Hmm. 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 Well, right. No, and we're at the beginning stage, and that path could be the border of asphalt that we have around the field. So we could look at the pathway as being the border and just extend it and bring it along that line at that field. The other aspect to consider when we're looking at this is yes, we do have a berm on the bathroom and parking lot side, but it also does slope down away from the field site on the wood side. So if we did orient the other way, which I'm not saying we shouldn't, I'm not saying we should or shouldn't do. This is something we're going to have to look into and what is most cost effective and what's best. Because as you point out, Eric, if it's the best way to do it, maybe we should do it that way. And we should talk to the athletes and coaches as well as about one of the things that we have conversations about is where do you want the sun in your play? Because if you have the sun, if you orient the field east-west, one of the goalies, if the sun's going down or up, it's going to have that sun blaring right in their eyes. If you orient it north-south, it's generally not as bad. I know that because I played goalie growing up. So, it can be all these little things that we're going to have to talk to the user group about and go, which is better to orient? Is it better to orient the way it is shown here or the other way? And if it's better to orient the way that's shown here, is it better? Do you guys have? Is it a problem if it's 100 meters versus 120? What about 110? I mean, we don't have to do the full, we don't have to do the full. We can, but what is the exact, what do you think is best, and then come to some sort of consensus. That also helps us when we go for these grant applications because we've shown, hey, we discussed with the users, this is what they want, and we can take it to these guys, and it gives the application a little more weight. Cool. Sure. Okay. Mm-hmm. All right. Up next. All right. Did you stop sharing? So let me get back to sharing mine. Okay. So we did have. Okay, presenter mode. And so we did have the pool committee issue with the foundation. Did anybody have questions? Did we want to have any discussion on the feasibility study? Did everybody get a chance to look at that? It was in your board packet on Friday. We're looking for basically adopting or accepting this study, just a motion and a second on this that we can include it. Because Matt's right about the biggest thing I think this does for us is it gives us an independent third party review of what we're looking at to be able to say to anyone who asks questions, no, no, this is where that came from. This is the data we had, this is what we based it on, and it's all right there in this study for us to use. I think once we adopt this and accept this into that process, we have this to use going forward. That's what my recommendation would be, to adopt it. Any other questions? I am. So, as I said earlier, we've received two proposals. I did try and track down a bunch of others, but there was one called Cascadia that only did properties they owned. So if we wanted to sell them our water system, they would manage it. But I didn't think we really wanted to sell them our water system. I didn't know what that would mean. We received on this two proposals, and I'm trying to remember which one is the one I need here. There it is. Okay, so we received two proposals. One was from King Water on the island. One was from Water and Wastewater Services, which is out of Mount Vernon. There's a significant cost difference between the two. So coming out weekly is basically what it is to do the meter readings, testing, and everything. It would be 150 for the base monthly charge for King Water, or $1,187.33 for would be for water and wastewater services. Now, my only thought is that's probably because they're from Mount Vernon and they're sending somebody to drive down here to do the meter readings. Total from them would be about 14,000. Total from King Water would be about $1,800 annually. This does not include testing fees. So when they test the water, that's for King Water, they identified that as $35 per test. We have two wells that we test, so that'd be two tests per month at $35 per test. Water and wastewater services did not identify a cost, but they said it was extra for the testing fee. So I would assume it's probably fairly similar because there's fairly few labs out there that do this kind of testing. Of the two, they both would do the service. They both would provide the services we need. And we're looking at a 1-year agreement. I don't see any specific reason to pay $13,000 more for water and wastewater services. The $1,800 would certainly fit within what we had budgeted. King Water has offices on the island. So we solicited from Whidbey Water Management. They had said yes, okay, we're aware of it. Yeah, and he said he would get me something. He said he would get me something. I read a lot into when the company tells me that they're going to get me something and I don't get anything. It's one of those that if you asked my opinion, I would recommend right now, based on what we've got, King Water is the way to go. hmm we own the water system, so they're just providing the maintenance service. So we don't have to pay for the water. We have the water right, so we don't need that. This is simply just checking the depth of the well water, making sure the water is to a certain depth, testing the water quality, or coming out and collecting the sample, not testing it. The testing is an additional fee. Checking the pumps, checking the flow, recording how much water we've used so that we can report all of that to the state. So, you know, this is part of, as we've talked about before, the small water system management plan is something we're going to need as we grow. This is, before we add anything else to this park, campground or anything else, we need this in place. This is a key component of this. So proving this and me being able to go back and tell the state, or tell Davido to tell the state that, yes, we've got an I've got approval to move ahead with King Water. I'm talking to them about signing documents. To be able to say that to them greases that process a little further down the road. We've got a certified water operator online to start managing our facilities. Yeah. So we will need a motion, second, and approval on this. Just, yep. Mm-hmm. You're muted, Matt. Correct. So we did have a meeting. Matt, Carrie, Jennifer, and I met with the state auditor staff that had the audit exit conference. I'll have Matt comment on this because he was the lead commissioner on this a group. So, but briefly, the audit was clean. We had no findings, no management letters, and no exit items on our audit, which is incredible. Congratulations to Carrie and Peggy on the successful audit this year, especially for Carrie on her work in going through this process for the first time. It's a lot to handle, and she handled it very well. Matt, I'll give you a chance to comment on the audit. Possibly. Go ahead. Kinda. That's better. Any questions for Matt or myself on the audit, or for Carrie? Every, every two. $750,000, and I think it's in federal funds. We have to have a annual audit to audit those funds. So if we get a grant from Land and Water Conservation Fund from 750,000 or up, we would have to be audited annually. Or if we by chance got that grant and a portion of money from Land and Water Conservation Fund that added up to 750 or more, you know. Okay. Hmm. Yep. No, I think my only comment would be that I mean, even before I got here 9 years ago, the district had a great financial standing and had good audits, clean audits pretty much all of the time. This is not something new. This is transparency. This is we want you to come in and look and tell us what we're doing. We want a third party coming in and saying, yes, you're doing this right. Yes, you're doing this right. And if we're not doing something right, we want them to let us know so that we can fix it. We're not hiding things. We're not sweeping things under the rug. We're trying to get this all shined on, light of day, get it out so that people understand what we're doing and appreciate it. That's the whole point of these. So that's the audit. Any other questions? Okay, I will take back control then, because I'm the kind of guy I am. All right, all right. Moving along. I got a couple more items for you. Okay, let's move this way down. So, maintenance and operations levy. I'm not sure if you guys were aware of this, but we did have our maintenance and operations levy on the ballot on February 8th. The last count that we had occurred on February 10th at 3:27 p.m. As of that count, we had 73.29% saying yes to our levy, 26.71% saying no. That's a total of 6,579 voters. The turnout for the last general election was 9,230. We need 40% total turnout of the previous general election turnout for our district. So that means this number, the 6579, has to be 40% or greater of this number turned out at the last general. We're currently sitting at 71.278% turnout over that general election. So, based on this, it appears very, very, very extremely likely that we will have our levy approved officially. Right now, it is not official. That is more because of timing and making sure all ballots have been counted and everything's being done, all I's have been dotted and all T's have been crossed. So at this point, I'm very confident that our levy has been not just approved, but resoundingly approved. Of the items on the ballot, there were 3 school district measures in Coupeville, 1 in South Whidbey, 1 in Oak Harbor, and 1 in Camino Stanwood. Ours had the highest approval rating of all of them by almost 10%, I think, over the school district levy. I think it was pretty close to yeah, so we were 73, so we were just a little bit under 10% more. And Coupeville passed all of theirs. But you also have to remember, and Eric, correct me if I'm wrong on this, I believe this is correct. The school district just needs a simple majority to pass, whereas we need the super majority of 60%. So we have to get over 60 or we don't pass. And we got over 70. We got 73. So a resounding approval by the community. I congratulate you all. And my thought would be is last time we wrote a letter to the editor thanking the community for the support. I probably have a template of that on file. I could sit down with Krista and Jennifer, who are the 2 commissioners that were on that committee, run that by them and get that out to once we have a official result, have that letter go out to the community. Is that something that you guys would approve then? Okay. I will sit down and I will get that put together. Any other questions on the levy? Yep. Percentage. Any other thoughts on the levy? I would just say congratulations, guys. I think I agree. I would say instead of get to work, because we've already been working, every one of us, including the board. I would say keep on trucking might be the way to go. We had 75% approval 4 years ago. We have 73% this year. So we've actually gone down 2% in approval, but we also had a lower turnout. So I would say this is a yes. I would agree with Eric. I would agree with Matt, and I would agree with you as well, Krista. This is an approval of what we have been doing. It is a resounding approval of what we've been doing and what we continue to do. We also need to look at this as okay, now we've got more money. We said we were going to do this with it. Let's get on it and do that with it and get moving forward. Keep moving forward. So, any other thoughts, questions, concerns about the levy at this point? Okay. Moving right along. I have one more item for you. And that last item, go ahead. I would just say that, too, to just kind of clarify that, that is based on last year's assessed value. So also remember that that number will likely go up higher with new construction and assessed value is increasing this year. So could likely be even earlier in the year once tax revenues start coming in. We don't know yet exactly when that will happen, but we will definitely be keeping our eyes on it. Because right now, we don't have the exact number of what the assessed value is, so we can't calculate out our exact levy next year. We don't get that till September. Then we'll probably have a much better idea, and we can potentially, with next year's budget, project out exactly when we might hit that target. And hopefully, we can manage our cost controls well again this year and make that an even shorter term problem. So, last item I have for you, infield mix order. This is based on the quote we had from the same company last year. We need more infield mix to get fields prepped up and to keep them going throughout the spring here for the spring season. This is up for approval. Same contract, same everything as last time, same company. It's cheaper for twice the material, and staff recommends approval so we can get it ordered and get it here so we can get the fields up and ready for spring season. Any questions? Sounds good for me. Thank you, Jake. Plus tax. That's all I have on the agenda. If commissioners have anything else they'd like to add, now would be the time. We do, Tuesday.